Welcome dear students. Today I will teach you some important but basic important points of call data, different groups of call data and characters of different groups. Call data is the most important and advanced phylum of animal kingdom. This phylum is divided into different groups, but 5 major groups and very important groups are Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals. I will teach you some comparative characters of all these 5 groups. Number 1, on the basis of the temperature. We will divide this group into 2 subgroups. One is called cold-blooded animals, also called poikilothermic animals, also called exothermic animals, and second group is called warm-blooded animals, also called homeothermic animals, also called as the endothermic animals. Pisces, amphibians and reptiles are cold-blooded. The body temperature is changeable according to the environmental temperature. Environmental temperature affects the body temperature, but birds and mammals are warm-blooded, in which the body temperature remains always constant. Either the animal is the very cold environment or very hot environment, but body temperature always remains constant. Second character is anemniota and amniota. In the Pisces and amphibians, 4 extra embryonic membranes. These membranes are amnion, chorion, allantois and yolk sac. If these membranes are present around the embryo, then such animals are called as the anemniota. Pisces and amphibians are anemniota. But in the case of reptiles, birds and mammals, these 4 membranes are formed. If these membranes are present, then such animals are called as the amniota. Reptiles, birds and mammals are amniota. Third character is on the basis of the kidney. If we discuss about the types of kidney on the basis of the origin and advancedness, then kidneys are of generally 2 types, mesonephric and metanephric. Mesonephric kidney is simpler in the comparison of metanephric kidney, in which number of nephrons is very less. Metanephric kidneys are very advanced type, in which kidney is internally divisible into 2 parts. Pisces and amphibians have the mesonephric kidney, but in the reptiles, birds and mammals, metanephric kidneys are found. Now, 4th point is about the number of cranial nerves. Cranial nerves arise from the brain. There are 12 pairs cranial nerves which arise from the brain of the most advanced animals. If we discuss about the Pisces and amphibians, then only 10 pairs nerves are found. Last 2 pairs means spinal accessory and hypoglossal. These are the 11th number nerve and 12th number nerve. These are absent in the case of Pisces and amphibians. But in reptiles, birds and mammals, all the 12 pairs cranial nerves are found, like olfactory, optic, oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial, spinal, glossopharyngeal, vagus, accessory and hypoglossal. Fifth point is about the number of chambers present in heart. In Pisces, only 2 chambers are found in the case of heart. One is auricle and another is ventricle. Only 2-chambered heart is found in Pisces. In amphibians, a heart is 3-chambered. Auricle is divided into 2 chambers. One is right auricle, another is left auricle. In the reptiles, ventricle is also incompletely divided into 2 chambers. That is, you can say that a heart is incompletely 4-chambered, or you can say it is 3.5-chambered. So except crocodilia group or except crocodiles, all the remaining reptiles like lizards, snakes and turtles, tortoise contain 3.5-chambered heart. But in the crocodiles, like the birds and mammals, completely 4-chambered heart is found. Then on the basis of the circulation of blood, circulation is of 2 types. One is called single circulation, another is called double circulation. In the case of Pisces, blood enters in the heart only once. This is called single circulation. But in amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals, blood definitely enters in the heart 2 times. First of all, pure blood, then after purification, blood again returns in the heart, and this is called as the double circulation, because blood enters in the heart 2 times. Now, we will discuss about the respiration. Respiration in the different chordates group like PARBM is of 4 types. When the respiration occurs by skin, it is called cutaneous respiration. When it occurs by the buccal chamber, it is called buccopharyngeal respiration. When it occurs by gills, it is called branchial respiration. And when respiration occurs by lungs, it is called as the pulmonary respiration. In Pisces, always respiration occurs by gills. It is branchial respiration, but in different amphibians, respiration occurs either by skin or by buccal cavity or by gills or by lungs. It depends, like frog. In frog, three types of respirations occur in the adult condition, like skin, buccal cavity, and lungs. But in the embryonic stage of frog, tadpole larva respire by gills. In some adult amphibians, respiration also occurs by gills. So we can say that amphibians respire by all the four types: skin, buccal cavity, gills, and lungs. But in reptiles, birds, and mammals, respiration occurs in general. Exceptions may be, but in general, respiration always occurs by the lungs. It is called as the pulmonary respiration. Now, we will discuss about the excretion. On the basis of the presence of nitrogenous waste, what type of nitrogenous waste is present in the urine? On this basis, excretion is of generally three types. One is called ammonotelic, second is called ureotelic, third is called uricotelic. Pisces are ammonotelic, mostly fish are ammonotelic. The amphibians and mammals are ureotelic. Reptiles and birds are uricotelic. Now, we will discuss a very important point about the types of egg in Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Here, we will study about the eggs on the basis of the three criteria. One is on the basis of the amount of yolk, second on the basis of the distribution of yolk, and third on the basis of the softness and hardness of egg. In mammals, yolk is very negligible. Hence, nature doesn't form a definite place for the presence of this yolk. Yolk is uniformly distributed in the cytoplasm, uniformly diffused in the cytoplasm, and this condition is called as the isolecithal in the case of mammals only. But in Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, and birds, nature formed a large amount of yolk, more than the requirement. In such cases, yolk is present towards the lower side of egg and cytoplasm is present towards the upper side of egg. Upper side is called as the animal pole and lower side is called vegetal pole. And such eggs in which the yolk is present in the definite place or lower side, and such eggs are called as the telolecithal eggs. In Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, and birds, the eggs are telolecithal on the basis of the distribution. On the basis of the presence of hard shell, or shell is absent or shell is present, in this basis, eggs are of two types. One is cleidoic, second is non-cleidoic. If eggs are covered by a hard shell, calcareous shell or hard leathery shell, then such eggs are called cleidoic eggs. In reptiles and birds, eggs are very hard, covered by hard covering, then such eggs are called cleidoic eggs. But in the case of Pisces, amphibians, and mammals, the eggs or unfertilized ova are very soft, jelly-like, and such eggs are called non-cleidoic. Now we will discuss about the development. You know that development in the case of mammals occur inside the body of mother. Mammals are divisible into three parts: prototherian mammals that lays eggs, metatherian mammals, a pouch is present on the abdomen, and third are called as the eutherian mammals that gave rise to a fully mature baby. So in mostly mammals, in eutherian or true mammals, the development is internal because the development occurs inside the uterus of mother. But in Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, and birds, the development is external, either in the water or in a hard shell on the land or earth. On this basis, we can say animals are of three types: oviparous, ovoviviparous, and viviparous. Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and prototherian mammals, very primitive mammals, are oviparous mammals. Metatherian mammals like kangaroo, these animals are called ovoviviparous. These animals lay the egg, but egg remains inside the body. And the development started into the body of that mother. But placenta is not formed. There is no connection between the mother and embryo. Hence, these eggs are called. This condition is called as the ovoviviparous. And in the case of viviparous condition, this condition is found in the eutherian mammals. A placenta is formed. The baby is attached with the mother through placenta. Placenta provides nourishment or nutrition to the baby through placenta. The mother provides nourishment, nutrition to the baby through placenta, and this condition is called viviparous. So we can say in short, Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and prototherian mammals are oviparous. Metatherian mammals are ovoviviparous, in which placenta is not formed. But finally, these animals give rise to birth, and eutherian mammals are completely viviparous. Now, about the fertilization. In Pisces and amphibians, fertilization is external, which occurs in the water. Copulation occurs in the male fish, female fish, or you can say in the male frog or female frog. But the main purpose of copulation is not to transfer the sperms into the body of female, because there is no copulatory organ penis in the case of male animal. So what is the purpose of copulation? The copulation occurs only to excite the animal, only to excite the male and female animal to release both sperms and ova in water at the same place. So after the full excitement or after the end of copulation, first of all, female frog releases a group of ovum, unfertilized ovum in the water. Then the male frog releases the group of sperm over the ovum. Then fertilization occurs in water. Development is external and fertilization is also external. In the case of reptiles and birds, fertilization is internal, because copulation occurs between the male bird and female bird, between the male lizard and female lizard. The male lizard transfers the sperm in the body of female lizard. Fertilization is internal in the body of female lizard. But this female lizard lays the hard egg or cladoic egg on the land. Then development is external. Fertilization is internal, but development is external. So fertilization is internal in the case of reptiles and birds. In the case of mammals, you know, if fertilization is internal, as well as you can say development is also internal. So in short, we can say in Pisces and amphibians, development is external in water, while reptiles, birds and mammals, development is internal. Now, on the basis of the attachment of teeth, the teeth are of two types, ecrodont and thecodont. In ecrodont condition, the teeth are directly attached with the jawbone. Sockets are not present in the jawbone, and this condition is ecrodont in Pisces, amphibians and reptiles. You know that in birds, in true modern birds, teeth are absent. In mammals, the teeth are present inside the sockets of jawbone. A specific term is given for these sockets of jawbone, and this term is alveoli. Alveolar socket, the same term which is also used in the case of the lungs alveoli. So the sockets of jawbone are also called as the alveoli or alveolar socket. This condition is called thecodont. In mostly mammals, teeth are of four types: incisors, cutting, front teeth, canines to tear the flesh, well developed in carnivorous animal, and premolars and molars are the grinding teeth, which help to grind or chew the food. And this condition is found only in the case of mammals. Except mammals, in Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, teeth are never are of four types: incisors, canines, premolars, molars. These are the specific and very fundamental divisions only in the case of mammalian teeth. Now, next about the cloacal aperture. Cloacal aperture term is used when the aperture of feces and the aperture of sexual matter are not separated. A single aperture is found to pass out the feces and to pass out the sexual matter in the case of male sperm, in the case of female ovum. Then this aperture can neither be called anus nor be called sexual aperture. This aperture is commonly called as the cloacal aperture. Cloacal aperture term is used in the case of Pisces, amphibians, reptiles and birds, but in the case of mammals, an advanced condition is found in which cloacal aperture is not present, anus is separate for passing out the feces, and sexual aperture is separate for releasing the sperms in male and to give rise to birth, a vaginal opening in the case of female. But cloacal aperture term is not used in the eutherian mammals. In the prototherian mammals, we can say that cloacal aperture is found, but here we are not going to discuss about the exceptions. We are discussing here only some basic concept or basic characters or basic fundamental characters of all the 5 groups of chordata. Now, last 2 characters. Skull. On the basis of the attachment of skull with the vertebral column, skull is of 2 types. One is monocondylike skull, second is dicondylike skull. In Pisces, monocondylike and dicondylike terms are not applicable. But if we want to keep the Pisces in these 2 terms, then you can keep Pisces in dikundalic type of skull. But in Pisces, these terms are actually not applicable. In reptiles and birds, the skull is very flexible because this skull is attached with the first vertebra, atlas, by a single condyle, by a single projection. This skull can be moved all around. This is called monocondylike skull, but in amphibians and mammals, the skull is dicondylic. Two projections called occipital condyle arises from the skull, on which the skull is present on the vertebral column, and this is called dicondylic skull. That skull cannot be moved all around frequently. The monocondylic skull in reptiles and birds, and dicondylic skull in amphibians and mammals. Now, last point, on the basis of the shape of body of vertebrae, we can divide the vertebrae into 5 major groups. First group is called procoelous, second is amphicoelous, third is acoelous, fourth is heterocoelous, and fifth is amphiplateon. In procoelous, the centrum or main body of vertebra has concavity on the upper side. This vertebra is called as the procoelous. In amphicoelous, both the side of centrum contains concavity. In acoelous, concavity is absent, but both the ends must be convex, not plate-like flat, must be convex, called acoelous. And in the heterocoelous condition, neither the concavity is found nor convexity is found. The centrum or body has a saddle-shaped shallow depression, not concavity is found, a shallow depression, it is called heterocoelous. And in amphiplateon, both ends are flat, completely flat, plate-like flat, called amphiplateon. Procoelous, amphicoelous, and acoelous vertebrae are found in different amphibians, reptiles, birds, depends to member. The presence of heterocoelous vertebrae is the unique character of only birds, and the presence of amphiplateon vertebrae is the unique character of mammals. So these are 19 or some characters of these 5 groups of chordate. On the next turn, we will discuss about some specific or exclusive characters of all these 5 groups: Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. But these are some comparative characters. Thank you and wish you all the best and good luck.